Welcome, one and all. We are going to go over our recent 10-team just for fun PPR best ball draft that we completed today. I am, of course, flying Ryan Gilchrist along with
Still here, Tampa Motormouth, Joel Verlin.
still here. We just finished our quarterback and running back rankings projection show, telling you that Joe Mixon is a terrible person and human being as well. So yeah, go check that out if you didn't already. We did our wide receivers and tight ends yesterday. And we talked about last year on Friday. So now we're going to move ahead. We've done our first best ball draft, Joel's first ever best ball draft. And the best ball strategy, if you don't know what it is basically you draft a full team, and that's it. You kind of let the computer do the rest. They will play your best scoring lineup, your number one quarterback, your 1 and 2 running backs, 1 and 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, and your 2
That's when
best flex
it's
after
not
that.
good. That's when it's not good to have a whole bunch of players by week 7.
Yes, by week 7 is going to be bad this year for everybody, but I did have to kind of navigate that a little bit in our draft. So we're going to go over what happened in our drafts. Fun fact, Joel and I picked back-to-back. Joel had pick number 2. I had pick number 3. And I was very glad we did this today, not yesterday, because my pick at 3 would have been different. Because you went Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey went 1, Dalvin Cook, standard procedure there. I went Alvin Kamara 3 because Jameis Winston seems to have taken that starting role, and I trust him with the checkdowns a little bit more. Second round, I went Justin Jefferson over DeAndre Hopkins, who you took. I'm guessing you were happy I left DeAndre Hopkins for you.
Yeah, just sort of getting the trusting ADP as opposed to maybe doing a little reaching.
Yeah. Then Joe Mixon went at 210, so that poor SOB just got shafted there. Followed up with Antonio Gibson, and then you took one J.K. Dobbins. I do like Dobbins. I don't have a whole lot of an issue with that pick there. I went with the tight end George Kittle. I thought, you know what? It's best ball. We have plenty of opportunity. You don't need 2 guys that are going to go off every week. You need 2 guys at wide receiver and running back that are going to go off often enough. And I think George Kittle is just a very, very solid tight end there.
And then I ended up going with the Jones, just wide receiver, because I was realizing I was trying to sort of do a WRB, WR, RB, WR. So, because I remember before the draft, you said that you wanted to go RB heavy and wide receiver heavy, more so than any other position.
Yeah, it was an 18-round draft. So what I tried to do is 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends, and 6 of the other positions, wide receiver and running back each, just to give me enough depth for injuries and bye weeks that I'm not going to have a 0 at any time. That is very important. Do not leave yourself a 0 week because of bye weeks or an injury risk at any time in best ball. You took Julio at 4.9. I took Miles Sanders at 4.8. I wasn't happy about it, but I was going to take David Montgomery or Chris Carson, but they went 2 picks directly before me. So I just said, hey, I need another running back in this position to pair with Alvin Kamara. I wasn't thrilled about it, but 4th round, starting running back, I'll take it. Coming back around, Godwin, then Woods, then you came into the tight end pool heavily on your next 2 picks as you went back-to-back Kyle Pitts in round 5, Noah Fant in round 6. What was the thinking there? Back-to-back tight end so early.
Just thinking, trying to get the bit of a head start on everybody else, and figured if I could get the tight ends taken care of early, then I could focus on the running back and wide receiver depth, and even maybe the quarterback depth late. You can sort of to get the tight ends taken out of the way early, and then you really just don't have to worry about it, because I figure I said, do the boom boom thing, and then that frees up more options later.
Yeah, so that was your 5th and 6th back-to-back tight ends. My 5th round pick was Lamar Jackson. It is a 6 points per touchdown passing league, so quarterback's slightly more valuable than normal, but there just wasn't a lot there I liked. What was coming up behind me was DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Darrell Henderson, Josh Jacobs. Javonte Williams did go in the 5th round, but I thought he could have waited till my next pick. But all in all, there wasn't a whole lot there I was just excited about. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to take the quarterback here. That's a good time to take the quarterback, by the way. If you look and you go, I don't like any of these options. If there's a quarterback you like, that is a good time to take them. Again, draft your way. We'll get more into the draft strategy tomorrow. Now we get to my 6th round pick, and this ended up being a huge steal. We drafted this around noon today, and I took James Robinson at 6.8. Came out a few hours later that Travis Etienne, who went at pick 7.8, by the way, is probably out for at least most of the season, if not the full season. So James Robinson became a massive, massive steal on that point. Then we get to Joel, your 7th-round pick. I know you're very, very happy with this one.
Yeah, well, as of course he was one of my sleepers. Just looking forward, so looking forward because you had the Dolphins last year. As I said, of course, he has a great performance. He has the young offensive line, and just hoping that he can stay healthy, which of course you hope for all of your players.
Yeah, that's Myles Gaskin. Round 7 for a starting running back, not a bad place to be. That gives you a combination of Cook, Dobbins, Gaskin to start. Very, very strong at running back. My picks for this point, I'm already Alvin Kamara, Miles Sanders, and James Robinson at running back. I'm feeling pretty comfortable there. Wide receivers for you had DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones at this point, plus Kyle Pitts and Noah Fant. I had Justin Jefferson. I already got George Kittle at tight end. I've already got Lamar Jackson. So I'm sitting here thinking I got to catch up on the wide receiver position. And I went back-to-back people I said I was happy with yesterday as sleepers. 7.3 Chase Claypool comes back around and get Robbie Anderson at 8.8. I was ecstatic. I got 2 guys who I said yesterday could be sleeper types, jump up in those rankings, get you more points than their draft position would let you think. So I was ecstatic. Now I'm looking at my wide receiver core of Justin Jefferson, Chase Claypool, and Robbie Anderson. I'm like, okay, I've got a good core. Now let's go for depth.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking when I had got Dallas Goedert, because I know that you have to have at least, you don't want 4 tight ends because that's sort of pushing it, but you need to have at least a good solid depth to have 3.
Yeah, you didn't get one of the top 3. And we said yesterday, if you don't get one of the top 3, you're probably going to want to get a few depth guys. You're not going to want to go early and overpay necessarily, but in best ball, Kyle Pitts is potentially the number 1 tight end. He really could be. I don't think he will be. I think as a rookie, it's going to take him some time, but he could be. Noah Fant, same thing. I said he was a sleeper yesterday as well. Then we come around to round 9, and it gets a little bit thin at the quality of players. So, Joel, you took Melvin Gordon, someone I put on my do not draft list, but for best ball, it's not as bad because Javonte Williams is not taking the starting role yet necessarily, and rookies don't tend to wear as well. So maybe Melvin Gordon still has a role with the Broncos.
So, all you can do is just roll the dice and hope it comes up nice.
Yeah, you have to try what you have to try. Then I went back to the quarterback pool a little early, I'll admit, but I'm high on Tannehill this year. I do think he's got a lot of upside, especially if you add Julio Jones to the mix. So I went in a little early. Again, I didn't love the options around this spot. Fournette, Jones, Juju, Boyd, Samuel, Robert Tonyan, DJ Chark, who fell quite a bit, and you noted during the draft. So I went early with the quarterback because when it came back to me, the guy who I almost took over Ryan Tannehill was still there. It was one Mike Gesicki. I said I liked him yesterday in our tight ends. He's got a high upside potential coming into his own. I said, hey, this is a good person. You pair him with George Kittle. I'm really, really comfortable at tight end, I think. And I'm 10 rounds in. I've got very, very good depth. I'm pretty balanced right now. So I'm happy with my draft at this point. Then Joel at 10-9 took.
With the whole, clicking back to the whole DJ Chark comment, you're thinking of a certain Tom Petty song, Free Falling, boy. But yeah, as you're going to my pick, what round are we on?
Round 10.9, you took a quarterback.
Yeah, it was time to sort of was wade into the quarterback pool because I'm realizing, okay, we're finally in double digits. Time to pull the trigger, and hey, let's go young with some Lawrence action.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence of the Jags. I really like him early on because he plays Houston week 1. Keep that in mind if you are one of those that likes to stream a quarterback. Houston is terrible. And then we come around in round 11. You and I actually went back-to-back running backs, and I kind of like both these picks in the 11th round. Joel went with.
That would be one Connor.
Yep, James Conner, now of the Arizona Cardinals. Chase Edmonds been going a lot earlier in drafts than him. He went at 7.9. But James Conner's, I think, too good to not have a role. So it's a sneaky good pick there. I went with Zach Moss at 11.3. He was a sleeper. I think he's going to win that job outright over Devin Singletary, who went at 14.4, by the way. I just think he's going to be the number one back there, and number one backs in the 11th round is definitely the price I want to pay. Then we had a slight run on players I liked, which I didn't enjoy. As we get to the end of the 11th round, Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney, Nyheim Hines, Michael Gallup, Michael Pittman, in that order with Jonnu Smith mixed in.
You even had Gronk go there at 11.5.
Yeah. I mean, those 5 players I mentioned are guys I really, really wanted at this position. I mentioned Marquise Brown was a sleeper yesterday. I was real happy if he could have fallen to me. Darnell Mooney in that group. Pittman, Gallup, Nyheim Hines as a depth running back was an option. But all of them went, and then even Kenyon Drake, who would have been a good option at 12.8, went at 12.7. So at 12.8, I said, hey, no one's high on DJ Chark, but you know who they were talking up quite a bit last night? Marvin Jones of the Jaguars. I think he's going to be a good piece for Trevor Lawrence. I think that's going to be a safety blanket. That's going to be his safe space. That's going to be where he lives. So I took a chance on Marvin Jones as my wide receiver number 4. Then we get to Joel with a wide receiver from the Jets.
Yeah, Corey Davis, you're not exactly thinking, okay, hey, great, sexy, but you're thinking, okay, the Jets, they got to throw to somebody.
Corey Davis is a great best ball pick because he's not someone you want to have to pick when he's going to break out, but he's going to have 2 or 3 fantastic games every year. And when he hits those 3 games in best ball, guess what? He's in your starting lineup and you're getting credit for those points. But the weeks he has 1 catch for 9 yards, he's not going to be in your lineup unless you are completely screwed. So it's a great pick for fantasy. Then we come back at 13.2, where you wade back into the quarterback waters with.
Well, just staying with the whole young quarterback theme with the courts, Joe Burrow.
I put him on the do not draft list only because the injury I think will mess with him between the ears early on. I could be completely wrong. If he is healthy and confident, Joe Burrow does not belong on the do not draft list. I'm going to admit that now.
So you're taking the whole drama and you're putting it as something you should sort of watch, whereas me is sort of as I'm putting it as like, okay, it's something that happened during preseason and it really shouldn't matter in the regular season.
Well, I'm coming at it from I've had a knee injury for the last year that's not 100%, and every time I do anything physical, it takes me a second to remember that I can do it. I feel that little bit of pain and I go, oh, wait, can I do this? When I play hockey, I am a goalie. When I drop down to my knees the first time, I'm like, okay, is this going to feel okay? It never hurts. But it's that confidence. And once you fall into the flow, it's fine. But for a professional athlete, especially someone that like a quarterback who's got people 350-pound linemen running at him all day, every day, falling around his feet, it could be a mental thing.
Would it sort of be like the general after you've had an injury and you're sort of gun shy about that certain body part and like
exactly.
the first 2 or 3 weeks after and that whole line of reasoning?
Exactly. If he has any doubt in that knee or any discomfort in the situation because of that knee, it could affect him on the field. That's why he's on the do not draft list, not because I don't think he's a great player. I do think he's a great player. But you took him and I couldn't. So I went with Xavier Jones of the Rams. Darrell Henderson with the injury, not considered serious, but he's an injury-prone player. Cam Akers already out. Xavier Jones is going to be the receiving back, whether Henderson is there or not. He's going to have a role. Maybe he's the number 1 if Henderson gets hurt or underperforms. So I took a shot there. I don't mind it. Maybe not my favorite pick I've ever made, but at 13.3, take a guy who could be the starting running back. I'll take my chances.
And then at the end of the round, one of the quarterbacks on your list, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he was a sleeper. I think he's got real upside potential. That person only took Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield. I'm very high on Dak Prescott, but the shoulder injury coming back from the ankle is a little sketchy. And Baker Mayfield as well. Just he does have his bad weeks. I'm trying to see if he just screwed himself as well. Of course, Sleeper's not the best for telling you the bye weeks. He's week 13 for Baker and week 11. So he didn't buy. Oh, no, that's the wrong player.
And right after him, you have another quarterback that's sort of a boy.
I think you're talking about one Trey Lance. All the hype on him, who is Mr. Overthrow so far. Another rookie went right before me in Justin Fields, but when he came back to me at 14.8, this person is just plummeting in drafts, and I really don't know why. He's still technically the number one receiver on his own team. That's one Devontae Parker. I don't necessarily love the Gesicki-Parker tandem in a redraft where you have to put a lineup in every week, but at best ball, Gesicki could have 7 or 8 great weeks. Parker could have 6, 7 weeks, and they don't have to overlap, and all of a sudden you're getting the best of both. I still think he's a number one wide receiver in that team, even though they do have Will Fuller. I just think Devontae Parker is the better pick there.
And Mr. You Like That has fallen to 14-6.
Yeah, 14-6 for him. Then you went back to the tight end pool, your fourth of this draft with
one Hunter Henry, just because, hey, a part of that offense that you're not sure what it's going to morph into with Cam or with Mac Jones, but yeah, it's that whole general principle. They gotta chuck it to somebody.
Yeah, Hunter Henry. I like your tight ends in a best ball format. Again, Kyle Pitts, I think, is going to have some growing pains. Noah Fant is going to have good games and bad games. Dallas got it the same way. Hunter Henry the same way. If you get lucky, you can have multiple guys with good weeks without ever having a bad week hit your actual scorecard, which would be ideal. Then we get to round 15 where you dive for the third and final time into the quarterback market. And this one I was a little upset about.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you would not want me to that in later.
Yeah, 15.2 Tua was Tua Tagovailoa. I was looking at him. I already said I have Gesicki, I have Parker. I believe
this was the pick, unlike the Myles Gaskin pick that you were going, man.
This one I was going for Tagovailoa, but Joel took him. I like the pick. I think he's going to be your number one quarterback at least a few times this season. But I went with Detroit's potential number one wide receiver in round 15 is the rookie, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hearing a lot of good things about him. I don't think it's going to be a pass-heavy team. I still think Hawkinson's technically the number one option.
I'll trade you Tua for Kamara.
No trading in best ball. That's part of the rule. So, or else I totally would. But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think is going to be a good depth option. I don't think he's going to hit the scorecard a lot with the best ball format, but he's still got some options. And one of the people I like a lot went 16.5, Jared Cook. I was hoping would fall back to me at 16.8. I did need another tight end at this point. So I went to Tennessee, Anthony Firkser. Remember, Jonnu Smith is gone. Firkser is at least their number one tight end. I do have Ryan Tannehill on this, so there is a little bit of chemistry there. Then at 16.9, you took someone I like a lot.
Yes, that would be one Nelson Agholor.
Yeah, Nelson Agholor, possibly the number one receiver on that team. It's either him or what's his name? I'm blanking on it. Jacoby Myers. There it is. Yeah, sometimes the brain don't work good. Yeah, so Agholor or Jacoby Myers is going to be the number one. I think you've got a lot of the passing game for the Patriots covered between Henry and Agholor, though.
Yeah, it's like when you like the quote from Curly from the Three Stooges. I'm trying to think, but nothing's happening.
Yeah. All right. So then we go to the last two picks of this draft for each of us. At 17.2, you went with.
Just at this point, you're pretty much just tossing up the dartboard, J.D. McKissick, because he's a running back.
J.D. McKissick with a lot of passing volume last year. It depends on how much of that passing volume they move to Antonio Gibson, whether this is
was on the waiver wire and fab attention a lot last year, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
As well as the next and final pick that I did. Although, if memory serves, this was a definite pick of disappointment off of the waiver wires that we won at Mr. Booker.
Yeah, Devontae Booker is not the best running back, but he is the backup to one Saquon Barkley, who is coming off the knee injury, who is not necessarily for sure going to be good to go when the regular season starts. So Devontae Booker could be a sneaky good pick. Going back to me in the 17th round, I kicked around Jameis Winston and the guy I took, Derek Carr. Derek Carr is very, very consistent. He's not exciting. He's not world-shattering, but he's very consistent. I have Lamar Jackson. I have Tannehill. I don't expect Carr to hit my scorecard more than once or twice this season. primarily maybe on a bye week when one of the other quarterbacks is out. But I do feel very comfortable with him as my quarterback here if something does come up. And then my final pick, Marlon Mack of the Colts. I don't know what he's going to fit in with this Colts team. I think he had good upside. At this point, there's really just nothing left on the board. So to recap.
Kind of interesting who the very last Mr. Irrelevant pick was.
Yeah.
Of the best ball draft. This is telling.
Yeah. T.Y. Hilton has fallen so far. He went after Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sammy Watkins, Cole Beasley, and Randall Cobb.
And that's even one Latavius Murray was down there.
Who may or may not be on the roster. So to go over our teams, kind of projecting where they're going to start. This is actually a head-to-head best ball league, not a total point. So you are going to have a matchup. You can be good and have a bad week, or you can lose with a great week. It's not just total points like a lot of best balls are. So at quarterback for Joel, starting off with Trevor Lawrence. Running backs in the starting lineup, Dalvin Cook and J.K. Dobbins. Wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones. At tight end, Kyle Pitts. 2 flex positions, Noah Fant and Myles Gaskin. Hold those as of right now. And on the bench, Dallas Goedert, Melvin Gordon, James Conner, Corey Davis, Joe Burrow, Hunter Henry, Tua Tagovailoa, Nelson Aguilar, J.D. McKissick, and Devontae Booker. Again, best ball, your best roster will play. Formatted 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, a tight end, and 2 flex, wide receiver, running back, or tight end. Those will be what counts every single week. To my team, we have at quarterback Lamar Jackson, running backs Alvin Kamara and Miles Sanders, wide receivers Justin Jefferson and Chase Claypool, tight end George Kittle, steal of the draft in my opinion, James Robinson in one flex, Robbie Anderson in the other. On the bench, Ryan Tannehill, Mike Gesicki, Zach Moss, Marvin Jones, Xavier Jones, Devontae Parker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just a fun name to say, really. Anthony Firkser, and Derek Carr and Marlon Mack to round it out. So we'll try and keep you updated on how this goes all season long. Best ball as a head-to-head format, something I'm not super familiar with. I am projected to win my first week by about 1.5. And you are projected to lose by about 3, but nobody really, really out of contention. I think the high is 146, the low is 129. So everybody's still got a chance. It's, of course, week 1. And I just want to, make mention, RIP to one Travis Etienne, who was drafted and will not play most likely all season. So only time will tell how that injury comes back to haunt him or does not. But yeah, it's a little rough there. Anyways, that recaps our best ball draft. So Joel, if you've got final thoughts, go right on ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking one of those crazy well, we'll actually say that to another time, as this was actually my first ever best ball draft. I was just looking forward to doing something a little bit different, since I've done PPR, I've done IDP, and I definitely have found out that I'm really not a fan of IDP, that you can have way too many rounds to draft, as it just stretches out to infinity squared. But it's going to be interesting just to do a draft, and then you just sort of sit back, and probably the hardest thing will be is like, oh, let me set my lineups. Oh, wait.
It's already done.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to sort of see what happens with the fantasy football league that's pretty much all on auto. What you just you did it, and it's like, okay, now let's see what happens, and it will just be interesting to find out how good I do or how good I don't do.
Yeah, this is all about how you draft and how it goes. I mean, oddly enough, the person who drafted one, Travis Etienne, did say, I will see 5 of you in the playoffs, the rest next season. So I guess when you brag, it kind of puts you in a bad spot. Anyways, with that being said, I do want to make a special call out to the Baltimore Orioles and their 18-game losing streak. They have a real shot at breaking the 23 game losing streak record held by the Phillies. Only
How
to go.
how is it possible you can have a franchise that is so consistently suckable every single year?
Well, if you look at their losing streak, a lot of it's against the Rays, Yankees, and Red Sox, which is not a friendly set of teams. They did play the Tigers in there, but that's still almost a 500 team. I read a nice long article about how in 2016 they signed Davis, and then that was the beginning of the end. 2017 they missed the playoffs, and they're like, "Hey, we got one shot. Let's retool and rebuild, and let's go for the playoffs." When they should have just said, "You know what? We're gonna pull it all down." They kind of emptied their farm system. They're on the way back, but it's gonna take a couple years. Baltimore's gonna be bad, but unfortunately for them, they have a real shot at breaking an MLB record. It's just not one you actually want.
Yeah, well, you might have had heartbreak going to the World Series and losing, but don't have to worry about an 18-game losing streak.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be the AL champion Rays and lose in 6 games to the World Series than be the team that's got the all-time losing streak record within their grasp.
That would be like from the Water Boy. Oh no, we suck again.
Yes. And well, hopefully we did not suck again on this one. So with that, we are going to wrap up. This is our second podcast today, our third of the week. We have at least 4 more planned.
I think Flying wants to go num something.
Yeah, that too. So just to recap what's coming next, tomorrow we will be doing general draft strategy. I do have a live draft. I have to make sure we have the ability to live draft that one. It's at about 4:15 in the afternoon. If it works out with some other things, maybe we get the live draft on that. But either way, we're going to plan on doing some mock drafts that night. We will be able to do them on Sleeper and show the draft board, which will be nice and helpful because we couldn't pull it up.
Unlike this time when we were not able to.
Best ball on Sleeper, only available on Sleeper Mobile. First fault of the app I've actually seen. So I guess that's saying something that
it was just
minor.
You wanted to do it. It was just not happening.
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up, and it was like, no, you can have to do this on an iPad or an iPhone or a tablet or a smartphone. So I had it on my tablet. That's why the whole time I'm looking like this at the draft board. I'm not just like, yeah. So Thursday, again, may have a live draft, may not. But we definitely will have mock drafts around 6:30 like we've been doing the rest of the week. And Friday, we have our 2 drafts at the top of the board. Sports Shuffle Fans 8:27 at 6:30 p.m. League of Winning 8:27 at 8 p.m.
Please, we don't want Joe Mixon. We don't want Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
We don't want Joe Mixon.
I will not be taking Joe Mixon. But set your appointments. We may or may not have some extra people on for those drafts, as I will be in Massachusetts with some people that we're drafting with in the League of Winning. One of which is not, I don't think actually either one of them are in the Sports Shuffle Fans League. So I might get some input on the draft that they're not in. They may want to jump in for the draft we are doing as a group. But we'll see. Might be good to have a different voice on here. Just give some outside input and see how that goes. But that is the schedule for the rest of the week. Just want to make sure everybody is aware we are not going anywhere this week anytime soon. And with that, mercifully, we gone.